Just over 30 years ago, an enterprising chemist from a small market town in Norfolk set up a charity. A charity which has created the first multi-partner integrated health and social care complex in the UK. A development which many consider an example for the future. Its founder pledged to make a difference to his community in Aylsham, linking people in need with helpers who care.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's great.
Inspired by his faith as a Christian, he has changed the lives of thousands of people. This is the story of Rhys Coughlin and the Aylsham Care Trust, a community that cares for itself.
I started off in a small pharmacy in Loddon, but over probably 10 years or so, we gradually developed until we'd 4 quite busy pharmacies. It was really the success of the pharmacies that enabled me to set up ACT. Just before I was 60 years old, I had a mini stroke. I think I was under a bit of stress because of running 4 pharmacies, and the doctor said that I must slow down. But after a few days, I was feeling quite well again, and I was feeling a bit bored as well with having a bit of time on my hands. And it just so happened that we had this meeting of church folk, and I put forward the suggestion that we form an organisation to use local volunteers to meet the minor needs of people in the area.
Rhys called a meeting in Aylsham Town Hall.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that it all began here.
Yeah.
31 years ago, we decided that we would call a public meeting, to which about 60 people came, and they were all supportive. And so we appointed our first trustees and set up the organisation, and it worked very well. We had an adequate number of volunteers, and it's gone on from there.
Rhys and an energetic board of trustees founded Aylsham Care Trust in September 1985.
We just announced it locally that ACT was in existence and available if anyone needed help. And we did get lots of calls for help of all sorts. I remember Jill Kemp, the coordinator, going to sheltered housing where they had open fires, and because some of the people were quite poorly and couldn't cope, she was actually going around and lighting fires for them. So all sorts of things, really. Friday, lunch at the centre. If you'd like to come to that, particularly if you want transport, let me know. We did concentrate on transport to the doctors and the hospital. We got a lot of advice available for you. Then, as time went on, we discovered the main need, or one of the big needs, was to try and ameliorate loneliness. And we started luncheon clubs. We bought a minibus, and we took them there and home again from door to door. And people made a lot of new friends.
Over the next few years, the charity grew rapidly to meet the needs of the community.
Hello, John.
Hello, Jean. You've got a light bulb you need changing out.
Yes, come in.
Okay, thank you.
And in 1991, a dynamic executive from Wherry Sheltered Housing joined the ACT committee as a part-time volunteer. Jenny Manser was a specialist in developing housing with care schemes.
What attracted me to ACT was that I travelled in my job all over East Anglia, and I'd never come across something as unique as this.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Like the Alhambra Palace, no?
The work that Reese and others have done was to actually engage the community in looking after itself.
That's done. I'll see you.
Thanks
See you
very
next
much.
week. Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Reese was a good businessman. He was sound, a very strong man, but so compassionate.
In the early days, the charity had big ambitions but limited resources.
Our first office was a little caravan at the back of Reese's chemist shop, and we worked there for quite a long time. We then moved to one little room in Aylsham for a little while, and then to my shed, and I've run it from my shed for quite a long time.
Reese owned a 5.5-acre plot of land right behind the existing community hospital. Jenny thought it could be developed.
It was a fantastic piece of land, and with my experience and my understanding of development, I could see that wonderful things could be achieved. The problem with the land was access was a real issue. The only road to our site was far too narrow and would never be approved as an access point. So the only answer for us was to come via the NHS land. So it's crucially important that we had a partnership, a working partnership with the NHS in order to make this work.
The NHS view at the time was actually very supportive. We were already committed very strongly to integrated care. We also all recognised that working with the voluntary sector was an important way forward. And we recognised that schemes driven by communities themselves were more likely to be successful and sustainable.
After extensive consultation with the NHS and the District Council, Jenny, Reese and the ACT Board of Trustees drew up plans to build sheltered housing, a community support centre and a daycare facility on Reese's land, complementing the primary care available in St Michael's Hospital next door. But shortly after, the ACT committee discovered that St Michael's was earmarked for closure.
This was a very difficult time for both the community and the trustees, and we had a dilemma. We felt that whilst we were against the hospital closure, we clearly wanted to come forward with a very, very positive plan for the future. And if anything, it made our proposed development here even more important and more urgent to deliver.
Over the next couple of years, new plans were drawn up for a radical new scheme working with 7 partners, including housing associations, care providers, councils and the NHS, the first of its kind in the UK.
Our vision then became for a completely integrated health and social care complex, which involved not just housing with care, but a health centre, a community centre, and more importantly, a dual registered care home providing nursing care, all on the same site.
Ted and the trustees at ACT consulted the local planning team at Broadland District Council, who were open to the idea of a plan which combined Reese's land and the hospital site.
Well, the various partners came along to talk me through what their vision was, and we slowly started to put together the various pieces in the jigsaw. We were keen to see some affordable housing provision as a result of the development. We were keen to see health provided on the site and retained in the town and make something we could all be proud of for the future.
Outline planning consent for the new scheme was secured in early 2005. Permission was granted to redevelop the entire site of 22 acres, providing up to 200 residential homes and a range of community care buildings for ACT and the people of Aylsham. One building on the existing community hospital site would stay open until the new development was up and running. Hopkins Homes were chosen as the lead development partner to deliver the vision.
We worked very close with all the interested parties, from Broadland District Council and all the landowners, to actually try and make it happen. We were all singing off the same hymn sheet to try and get the best development possible. And having someone like ourselves, Hopkins Homes are a private company, and I think that probably helps to be more flexible and try and deliver everyone's vision and aspirations for the project.
The Aylsham Care Trust Community Centre and adjoining care complex was opened in 2012 and now provides all the services that Rees and the charity's trustees first dreamed of.
But what about the chair the kitty cat is sitting on?
This award-winning development in Aylsham comprises sympathetically designed private and affordable housing alongside accommodation for assisted living, a care home, health centre, community centre and cafe.
Hi, I just wondered if you could check some details for me. I've got a patient coming in at 11 o'clock. As I understand that they had some mobility difficulties.
Well, this is a beautiful housing with care scheme where we have 24-hour care on site, but all our tenants have beautifully equipped self-contained flats. They can cook, clean their own flats, have families to visit, go out when they want to, have community involvement. But at the same time, as older people become more dependent, they're able to have assistance from our carers 24 hours a day. So it's care for as little or as much as you need, including very specialist end-of-life care. Our residents, tenants here get the best of everything, really.
Our aim is to provide the best possible services that we can to people in their local communities, and especially to try and make sure that they stay in their communities, stay in their own homes, and wherever possible, stay out of hospital. We have services based on the site, from community nursing and therapy, speech and language therapy. We run clinics on the site. But we also connect with the services that Aylsham Care Trust provide. So, for example, carers can take people that they care for day in and day out who are suffering with dementia to one of the drop-in groups, and they can use the community centre themselves, have a coffee, link with other people. So there is a real benefit to working with Aylsham Care Trust from our perspective, and a real benefit from working in partnership across the community.
But it isn't only health and integrated care for older people that is provided on site at Aylsham. The ACT Centre is a hub for all members of the community.
Release your shoulders, release any tension in the body.
With a varied programme of activities and social events.
Hello, I'm just ringing up about the trip tomorrow. The minibus will leave ACT at 10:15, and then after lunch there's a viewing platform where you can go and have a look out at the birds.
And it's all made possible by a team of over 150 volunteers and members of staff.
Thank you, Margaret. I hope you have a nice time tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
ACT serves over 10,000 lunches a year, provides free transport to appointments, and supports people with friendship and care, enabling them to stay in their own homes for longer. ACT also alleviates loneliness and social isolation, with trips and days out to help people enjoy life.
I go to lunch once a week and I come out on the trips. And I go for the company more than anything, to be with people your own age. You know, you're not with youngsters all the time and that. No, I'd be very lonely without it.
The volunteer network, which Rees started, linking people in need with helpers who care, has been transformed into a dynamic charity, delivering life-changing results for the people of Aylsham.
Right across some marshes now.
Just over 30 years on, it's time to thank everyone involved. From Rees and the army of staff and volunteers to the Board of Trustees, who not only helped to realise Rees's vision, but have enabled it to flourish. And with all of us living longer, perhaps it's time to consider whether what has been achieved in Aylsham could be realised elsewhere.
Well, I think the scheme is inspiring, and I think it points to what is needed in the future. The NHS is clearly under impossible pressure. It's unsustainable as it works at the moment. And they have shown in Aylsham how collaboration between volunteers, the local community, and local GPs, social services and other parts of the NHS can achieve amazing results.